The phone call came at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. "Sarah, I need you to take the kids." My sister Jennifer's voice was breathless and demanding, not asking but telling. "I'm going to the hospital tomorrow for the birth. They'll need to stay with you for at least 2 weeks." I sat up in bed, trying to shake off sleep. "Wait, what?" "Jennifer, it's almost midnight." 2 weeks, maybe 3, she continued as if I hadn't spoken. "Depends on recovery. I'm having a C-section, and with 5 kids already, I need rest. You have that big house all to yourself, so it's perfect." "Jennifer, I work from home. I have client meetings deadlines." "So? You can work while watching them. They're not babies." Her tone was dismissive. "Well, except for Tyler. He's 3, but the others can mostly take care of themselves." I took a deep breath. "How old are the others again?" "Emma's 9, Jackson's 7, Olivia's 5, and Tyler's 3, she rattled off. "Look, I don't have time for this. Brett's working double shifts and can't take time off. Mom and Dad are on that cruise. You're literally my only option." "What about Brett's parents?" "They're too old." "I'm not asking, Sarah. I'm telling you. I'll drop them off tomorrow at 8 a.m. Make sure you have groceries. Emma's allergic to shellfish. Jackson only eats chicken nuggets. Olivia's going through a phase where she screams if her food touches other food. And Tyler still needs pull-ups at night." My mind was reeling. "Jennifer, I haven't agreed to this. 8 a.m. Don't make this difficult. You owe me anyway after I let you stay with me during your divorce. That was one weekend, and I paid you $500. Family helps family, Sarah. See you tomorrow." She hung up. I stared at my phone in disbelief. I immediately called her back. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. I sent a text. "Jennifer, we need to talk about this. I can't just drop everything for 2 or 3 weeks. I have work commitments." The message showed as delivered but not read. I didn't sleep well that night. At 7:52 a.m., my doorbell rang. I was still in my pajamas, coffee in hand, hoping that maybe Jennifer had come to her senses and wanted to actually discuss this like an adult. I opened the door to find 5 children standing on my porch, surrounded by suitcases and bags. Jennifer's minivan was already pulling out of my driveway. "Wait," I shouted, running down the steps in my bare feet. "Jennifer." She didn't stop. She didn't even slow down. The oldest girl, Emma, looked up at me with tired eyes. "Mom said you were expecting us." I stood there in shock, my coffee growing cold in my hand, staring at 5 children I barely knew. I saw Jennifer maybe twice a year at family gatherings. I'd never been alone with her kids for more than an hour. "Come inside," I finally said, ushering them into my house. "Let me try to call your mom." I called Jennifer's number. It went straight to voicemail. I tried Brett's number, the same one I'd saved from their wedding 5 years ago. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." I tried Jennifer again, still voicemail. I sent texts. "You can't just leave your kids without discussing this with me first. This is not okay, Jennifer. Call me back immediately." None of them delivered. The messages turned green. She blocked me. My sister had literally abandoned her children on my doorstep and blocked my number. "Are you going to call Mom?" Emma asked quietly. She was 9 but had the weary voice of someone much older. "Your mom blocked my number, sweetie," I said, trying to keep my voice calm even though panic was rising in my chest. "Do you have another way to reach her?" Emma shook her head. "She took our tablets before we left. Said we wouldn't need them here." The 3-year-old, Tyler, started crying. "I want Mommy." Olivia, the 5-year-old, immediately started screaming in response. Jackson sat on my couch and turned on the TV without asking, flipping through channels. This was a nightmare. I took a deep breath. "Okay, Emma, can you help me get everyone settled while I make some phone calls?" She nodded with the resignation of a child who'd been put in charge of her siblings too many times. I went into my office and closed the door. First, I called my parents. It went to voicemail. They were on a cruise ship somewhere in the Caribbean, probably without cell service. I left a message explaining the situation. Then I called Jennifer's husband Brett's workplace. I remembered he worked at Henderson Manufacturing from some Christmas card update. "Henderson Manufacturing, how may a director call?" "Hi, I need to speak with Brett Morrison, please. It's a family emergency." "One moment." After a pause, "I'm sorry, but Brett Morrison is no longer employed with Henderson Manufacturing. He was let go 3 weeks ago." My stomach dropped. He was fired? I can't provide details about former employees. Is there anything else I can help you with? I hung up, my hands shaking. Jennifer had lied. Rhett wasn't working double shifts. He'd been fired 3 weeks ago, and she hadn't told anyone in the family. I tried Jennifer's number one more time, still blocked. I sat in my office, listening to the chaos outside my door. Tyler crying, Olivia screaming about something, Jackson turning the TV volume up too loud. These children had been abandoned with me based on a lie, without my consent, and I had no way to reach their parents. I picked up my phone again and dialed a different number. Child Protective Services, how may I help you? I felt sick making that call. These were my nieces and nephews. But what choice did I have? I couldn't keep 5 children indefinitely without their parents' consent. I had no legal guardianship, no way to enroll them in school, take them to doctors, or make any decisions about their care. And more importantly, Jennifer had committed what the CPS worker on the phone called child abandonment. Ma'am, what you're describing is a crime, the woman on the phone said seriously. She left 5 children with you without your consent and has now cut off all communication. Yes, she told me last night she was going to the hospital for a scheduled C-section and needed me to watch them for 2 to 3 weeks. I tried to tell her I couldn't, but she hung up and blocked my number. Then she dropped them off at 8 this morning and drove away. And you have no way to contact her? None. Her phone is blocked. Her husband's old work number doesn't work. She told me he was working double shifts, but I found out he was fired 3 weeks ago. There was a pause. Ms. Martinez, I need you to understand that you're doing the right thing by calling. If you're unable to care for these children and the parents have abandoned them without consent, we need to intervene. Can you keep the children safe until a caseworker arrives? Yes, I said quietly. They're in my living room right now. Someone will be there within 2 hours. In the meantime, make sure they're fed and safe. Do not let them leave the property. After I hung up, I sat in my office for a long moment, feeling like the worst aunt in the world. But what was I supposed to do? Keep 5 children I hadn't agreed to watch, with no legal authority, no way to contact their parents, and no end date. I went back to the living room. Emma was trying to get Tyler to stop crying, while Olivia had escalated to a full tantrum about wanting her tablet. Jackson had found my kitchen and was pulling things out of the pantry. Everyone stop, I said loudly. They all froze, even Olivia mid-scream. Emma, thank you for trying to help with Tyler. Jackson, please put everything back in the pantry. We'll make breakfast together in a minute. Olivia, I don't have tablets here, but I do have coloring books. Would that help? Olivia sniffled and nodded. For the next hour and 45 minutes, I did my best. I made pancakes, which Jackson wouldn't eat because they weren't chicken nuggets. I set up coloring books for Olivia. I let Emma turn on a kids' show for Tyler. I cleaned up 3 separate spills and broke up 2 arguments. I was exhausted, and it hadn't even been 3 hours. When the doorbell rang at 10:23 a.m., I felt both relieved and guilty. Children, stay in the living room, please, I said, opening the door to find a woman in her 40s with a kind face and a professional demeanor. Ms. Martinez? I'm Linda Chen from Child Protective Services. What followed was the most uncomfortable 2 hours of my life. Linda asked the children questions, gentle ones, appropriate for their ages. She asked me questions. She documented everything. The children appear healthy and well cared for, Linda said finally, speaking to me privately in my kitchen while another CPS worker supervised the kids. But you're right that this situation constitutes abandonment. You had no agreement to care for these children, and the mother has cut off all contact. What happens now? I asked. We'll continue trying to reach the parents. We'll check hospitals for any record of Jennifer Morrison being admitted. But in the meantime, the children will need to be placed in emergency foster care. All of them together? I asked, my heart breaking. We'll do our best, but finding a foster home that can take 5 children on short notice. She trailed off, and I understood. They'd probably be split up. Wait, I heard myself say. What if I agree to be their temporary placement? Just until you find their parents? Linda looked at me carefully. Ms. Martinez, you said you couldn't care for them. I said I hadn't agreed to care for them without notice or consent. I corrected. But if it's the difference between them being together or split up between strangers, I'll do it. Temporarily. Until Jennifer is found. It would require an emergency placement agreement, a home inspection, And you'd need to understand that if the parents aren't located within 72 hours, we'll need to pursue more formal arrangements. I understand. By 1 p.m., I had signed papers making me the emergency foster placement for my 5 nieces and nephews. Linda had inspected my home, provided me with emergency resources, and left with promises to update me daily on the search for Jennifer. The children were quiet after CPS left. Even Jackson had stopped his constant channel surfing. Are we going to live here now? Olivia asked in a small voice. For now, I said honestly. Until we find your mom and dad. Mom's probably at the hospital having the baby, Emma said, but her voice was uncertain. She'll call soon. She always comes back. That phrase, she always comes back, made my stomach turn. How many times had Jennifer done something like this before? I spent the rest of the day setting up bedrooms. Emma and Olivia would share my guest room. Jackson would take my office. I'd work from the dining room. Tyler would sleep in a toddler bed in my room until I could get proper furniture. I ordered groceries online with every child-friendly food I could think of. By 8 p.m., all 5 children were bathed and in pajamas I'd bought during a quick Target run. They were settled in front of a movie, and I was in my kitchen trying not to cry into my wine glass when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Sarah. It was Jennifer's voice, cold and angry. What the hell did you do? What did I do? I repeated incredulously. Jennifer, you abandoned your children on my doorstep and blocked my number. I didn't abandon them. I left them with family, and now I have CPS calling me, threatening to take my kids away. You left 5 children with me without my agreement, lied about your husband working, blocked all communication, and disappeared. My voice was rising. What did you think would happen? I thought you'd help me. I thought you'd be a good sister. Being a good sister doesn't mean accepting illegal child abandonment, Jennifer. You could go to jail for what you did. There was silence on the other end. Where are you? I demanded. Are you at the hospital? More silence. Jennifer, answer me. Did you even have the baby? I'm not pregnant, she finally whispered. I felt the world tilt. What? I'm not pregnant. I lied. Why? The word came out as a whisper. Because Brett lost his job and we're being evicted and I needed a break, okay? I needed to figure things out without 5 kids underfoot. I was going to come back. When? I demanded. In 2 weeks? 3? Were you ever going to tell me the truth? You have that big house. You have money. I thought. You thought you dumped your problems on me and disappear. I finished. Well, it's too late, Jennifer. CPS is involved now. If you want your kids back, you need to contact them immediately and work with their caseworker. They're safe with me for now, but you're going to have to prove you're a fit parent. This is your fault. No, I interrupted firmly. This is your fault. You made these choices. You abandoned your children. You lied. You blocked me. Now you deal with the consequences. I hung up before she could respond. That was 3 days ago. Jennifer did contact CPS. She's working with them now, going through parenting classes and proving she has stable housing. Brett got a new job. They're slowly getting their lives together. The kids are still with me. They'll probably be here another week while CPS processes everything. Last night, Emma helped me make dinner. Tyler has started calling me Aunt Sarah instead of just staring at me. Olivia taught me the proper way to arrange food on a plate so it doesn't touch. Jackson even ate something that wasn't chicken nuggets. I'm exhausted. My work has suffered. My house is chaos. But when I tucked them in last night and Tyler whispered, I love you, Aunt Sarah, I realized something. Jennifer was wrong. I don't have to be a good sister by accepting abuse and manipulation. But I can be a good aunt by giving these kids stability when their own parents couldn't. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.